China is working on an underwater Beidou network, aimed at enhancing navigation and tracking capabilities. A year ago, it was announced that China would construct a next-generation Beidou system, with plans to conduct test satellite launch. China is working on an underwater Beidou network, aimed at enhancing navigation and tracking capabilities. A year ago, it was announced that China would construct a next-generation Beidou system, with plans to conduct test satellite launches in 2027 and complete the system by 2035. Taiwan has established a platform to coordinate responses to disruptions in undersea cables. Somalia has prohibited Taiwan passport holders from entering the country, referencing the One China policy.
HSBC announces a $3 billion stock repurchase following a first-quarter profit that exceeded expectations. UBS reports a first-quarter profit that surpassed forecasts, although the impact of Trump's tariffs raises concerns about the future outlook. In April, China's factory activity fell to a level not seen in nearly 2 years due to the effects of trade tariffs. The Wall Street Journal discusses the growing distance between Sam Altman and Satya Nadella, who were instrumental in sparking the contemporary AI revolution. Mark Zuckerberg declares that the era of social media is coming to an end. Starbucks is enhancing its store workforce by hiring more baristas and reducing its reliance on machines as part of its ongoing revitalization efforts. A Google report indicates a slight decrease in zero-day exploitation compared to the previous year. France has accused Russian intelligence of conducting numerous cyber attacks since 2021. Cloudflare has reported that in the first quarter of 2025, it successfully blocked 20.5 million DDoS attacks, marking a significant rise of 358% year-over-year and 198% quarter-over-quarter.
IBM plans to allocate $150 billion to the United States over the next 5 years to support its advancements in quantum technology. TMC has filed an application to engage in deep-sea mining activities, adhering to U.S. legal regulations. Israel is proposing a trade concession to the United States in an attempt to mitigate the impact of potential tariffs. NPR has disclosed that employees of Doge have obtained access to secure networks containing sensitive nuclear information. San Francisco and Santa Clara are taking legal action against Trump due to the Doge-influenced dismissals of federal employees. Furthermore, top Democrats claim that Trump's administration has caused disruptions affecting approximately $430 billion in federal funding.
A Senate report indicates that Elon Musk's involvement with Dogecoin presents conflicts of interest valued at $2.37 billion. Reductions in Doge prices could potentially allow Musk's companies to sidestep $2 billion in liabilities. The New York Post mentions that Musk has ceased working from the White House, with communications now conducted via phone. The Paramount board has opened a potential avenue for resolving Trump's lawsuit against 60 Minutes. In another development, Senator Hawley has reintroduced the Pelosi Act, aiming to prohibit Congress members from engaging in stock trading.
China's military is swiftly increasing its deployment of affordable AI-driven drones, in a strategic and gradual advancement. In 2024, global military expenditures reached an unprecedented $2.7 trillion, marking the most significant increase since the Cold War era. India has finalized a $7.4 billion agreement with France for the acquisition of Rafale fighter jets. An official has announced that Donald Trump will be signing an order that necessitates the compilation of a list of sanctuary cities and states. Trump has made a promise to establish a new legal team to support police officers. Furthermore, an executive order is expected to be signed by Trump, which Pew Research Center reveals that most Americans anticipate AI will negatively impact news and journalists. Researchers conducted a large-scale, unauthorized AI persuasion experiment on Reddit users, prompting Reddit to issue formal legal demands against those involved. Furthermore, Pew highlights that while free expression is considered crucial worldwide, not everyone believes their country guarantees press, speech, and internet freedoms.
A new series titled Wisteria Lane, a spin-off from Desperate Housewives, is being developed by Onyx with Kerry Washington and Natalie Chaidez involved. Brad Pitt is set to star in A24's adaptation of The Writers, directed by Edward Berger, known for Conclave. A review by the BBC on bullying has concluded that there is no evidence of a toxic culture, although it acknowledges that the actions of a few individuals have an outsized impact on the organization's reputation and morale.
Jack Black's brief 34-second anthem titled Steve's Lava Chicken, inspired by the popular game Minecraft, has achieved the remarkable feat of becoming the shortest song to make its way into the Hot 100 chart. Kanye West has made headlines by releasing a previously lost album, Donda 2, on various streaming platforms. In a separate incident, a man who found himself stranded on Mount Fuji was airlifted to safety, only to be rescued once more a few days later when he returned to retrieve his phone.
Hegseth takes pride in terminating a program focused on women and security that was signed into law by Trump. In the United States, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, is set to cancel nearly 800 grants aimed at environmental justice, as disclosed in a court filing. Harvard University is committing to reforms after internal reports highlighted issues of anti-Semitism and anti-Arab bias. The university's president has expressed regret following these reports, which also include allegations of Islamophobia and a Trump administration investigation into the Harvard Law Review for potential race-based discrimination. Harvard is restructuring its Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion (DEI) office in response to pressure from the Trump administration. In a significant political setback, Canada's Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, experienced a major defeat by losing his own seat in a disastrous election outcome. A former assistant to a prominent German far-right politician has been charged with espionage activities involving China. The European Union's highest court has declared Malta's Golden Passport program to be unlawful.
The FBI and other national security agencies are employing polygraph tests in their efforts to identify individuals responsible for information leaks. Members of Trump's staff have displayed mugshots of immigrants on the White House lawn. Furthermore, Axios has published a report indicating that a majority of Americans perceive Trump as a dangerous dictator, according to a recent poll.
Hawaii is considering raising the hotel tax to address the challenges posed by climate change. In South Africa, significant fires are raging on the slopes of the renowned Table Mountain. Trump has decided to relax the reporting requirements for accidents involving self-driving cars, which is seen as a favor to Musk. Toyota and Waymo have reached a consensus on a framework for a strategic partnership aimed at speeding up the adoption of autonomous driving technology. The major automotive company Stellantis has decided to pause its full-year financial guidance, citing concerns related to the uncertainties surrounding tariffs imposed by former President Trump. Volkswagen has reported a significant decline of 37% in its profit for the first quarter, indicating that the potential impact of Trump tariffs could further affect its future financial outlook. The Asian American Foundation revealed that the general American public perceives no rise in prejudice against Asian Americans, a sentiment that is contradicted by Asian Americans themselves. Rwanda has expressed a positive response to Donald Trump's request to accept non-citizen deportees, as the Trump administration considers relocating migrants to both Libya and Rwanda, according to sources. German intelligence has classified the Alternative for Germany, AfD, as a right-wing extremist endeavor.
Gina Rinehart, the wealthiest individual in Australia, expresses her desire for reforms similar to those implemented by Donald Trump as the country approaches its election. A deal involving a Trump golf course has been revealed in Qatar, coinciding with the upcoming visit of the United States president. Furthermore, an Abu Dhabi-based company plans to invest $2 billion in Binance, utilizing Trump's cryptocurrency venture.
SCMP provides commentary as it becomes apparent that a more powerful China is observing to determine which of Trump's advisors will gain the upper hand regarding tariffs, according to sources. Trump suggests that American children might receive only $2 instead of 30, yet he insists that China will endure greater hardships in a trade conflict. He calls for patience and attributes the weak economic news to Biden. Japanese lawmakers caution that U.S. tariffs pose a threat to security, not merely economic relations, as China's influence grows. Japan indicates that its $1 trillion investment in U.S. treasuries could serve as leverage in trade discussions, while the Bank of Japan plans to maintain interest rates and reduce growth forecasts.
The United States and Ukraine have reached a highly anticipated agreement on minerals to aid in the reconstruction of Kyiv and to help repay the assistance provided. Former President Trump is set to propose Mike Waltz, his current national security advisor, for the position of UN ambassador, following Waltz's anticipated exit from the administration. Waltz was observed using a modified version of the Signal app during a cabinet meeting. In the U.S., the Treasury Department has imposed sanctions on the CJNG, a significant Mexican cartel, due to its involvement in fentanyl trafficking and fuel theft.
Apple has faced criticism for breaching App Store regulations in the Fortnite case, with plans to appeal after a court determined that the company and an executive provided false testimony during the Epic Games trial. In response to a recent ruling, Epic Games is introducing webshops to enable developers to bypass App Store fees, aiming at Apple with a zero-commission strategy and an App Store alternative. Patreon intends to modify its iPhone app to avoid using Apple's payment system. Fortnite is set to return to the U.S. iOS App Store following a court decision that Apple intentionally disregarded a court order in the Epic Games lawsuit.
Sundar Pichai has expressed that the demands from the Department of Justice are essentially equivalent to a forced separation of Google's search function. According to Reuters, Adani has temporarily halted discussions with Israel's Tower regarding a $10 billion investment in India's chip industry, as indicated by sources. Mark Andreessen has stated that the role of a venture capitalist is largely secure from being replaced by artificial intelligence.
Apple informs fresh victims of global spyware attacks. Ascension reveals a data breach possibly connected to the Clio hack. In the United Kingdom, Co-op is compelled to close a segment of its IT system following a hack attempt. Economists argue that generative AI is not significantly impacting wages, displacing workers, or reducing time spent on tasks. Meta's capital expenditure is experiencing inflation, driven by Mark Zuckerberg's enthusiasm for AI and the influence of Trump-era tariffs, leading to infrastructure spending that could reach up to $72 billion. Google is investing in training electricians as the chair of Tesla has refuted any intentions to search for a new CEO to take over from Elon Musk, despite a previous Wall Street Journal report suggesting that the Tesla board had initiated a search for a successor to Musk. In other news, Uber has reached an agreement with May Mobility to introduce thousands of robot access. Anthropic has claimed that NVIDIA GPUs are being smuggled into China concealed in prosthetics, a claim that NVIDIA has dismissed as completely false. This follows a report from 9 months ago by The Information, which stated that the smuggling of NVIDIA AI chips into China had become an industry. Sam Altman's innovative project involving eye scanning technology for identification has officially commenced in the United States, initially operating at 6 different locations. In a related development, Meta has revised its policy concerning smart glasses, aiming to broaden the scope of AI data collection. A study has emerged, alleging that LM Arena is assisting leading AI laboratories in manipulating its benchmark results.
Mosquitoes have been found as far north as Shetland, in a comprehensive study conducted across Scotland. Mongolia has introduced an ambitious plan to enhance tourism, aiming to increase the industry's contribution to the GDP to 10% by the year 2030. In Kuwait, authorities are taking strict measures against cryptocurrency mining due to an ongoing power crisis. Multiplayer maps for Assassin's Creed Shadows have been found within the game's files. Mark Zuckerberg reassures people not to be concerned about the loneliness epidemic, suggesting that he can replicate all their friends using artificial intelligence. VML, Lab-Grown Leather Limited, and the Organoid Company have teamed up to develop the world's first T-Rex leather. Israeli Prime Minister emphasizes the priority of defeating Hamas over rescuing hostages. Wildfires in Israel lead to evacuations in towns close to Jerusalem, while Hamas urges Palestinians to burn all they can during these fires, stating, "All you have to do is burn." Additionally, a Druze spiritual leader requests Israeli intervention in sectarian conflicts in Syria, prompting Israel to conduct airstrikes near the Syrian presidential palace in Damascus.
China is considering American suggestions to reduce the ongoing tariff conflict. The Wall Street Journal provides commentary on how the trade war highlights China's reliance on the United States for automotive chips. The United States is contemplating relaxing restrictions on NVIDIA chips for the United Arab Emirates, coinciding with former President Trump's planned visit.
Doge claims to have achieved savings of $160 billion. However, an analysis indicates that these savings have resulted in a cost of $135 billion to taxpayers. The Senate has approved a bill aimed at repealing a Biden-era regulation concerning energy standards for appliances. Furthermore, the Pentagon plans to incorporate right-to-repair provisions into Army contracts. Tether reported that its exposure to the U.S. Treasury reached nearly $120 billion during the first quarter of the year, while also announcing a profit of $1 billion. Ripple has made an offer to acquire Circle, a competitor in the stablecoin market, for a sum of up to $5 billion. Furthermore, Visa and Stripe's partner Bridge is collaborating to enhance the functionality of stablecoin-based debit and credit cards.
President Trump has issued an executive order that instructs the reduction of federal financial support for both PBS and NPR. The White House has introduced a new website, modeled after Drudge Report, aimed at promoting President Trump. U.S. prosecutors have brought
creators as part of its strategy to enhance video content.
RFK Jr. has requested the CDC to provide updated guidance on measles treatment, despite his baseless assertions. The Washington Post has highlighted that RFK Jr. intends to mandate placebo testing for new vaccines, which has raised concerns among health experts. Nature magazine informs that the NIH and the U.S. plans to terminate billions of dollars in foreign research grants. The Wall Street Journal reports that RFK Jr. is investing $500 million in universal vaccines, marking a shift from his previous focus on COVID-19 funding. Pakistan has carried out a missile test as tensions with India intensify, while the Pakistan Air Force has displayed advanced Chinese weaponry, further escalating the situation. In response, India has imposed a series of restrictions, including halting mail, imports, and ship arrivals from Pakistan, as the conflict heats up. India has withdrawn its nominee for the International Monetary Fund just before the organization is set to consider a $1.3 billion loan to Pakistan.
China's military has disclosed specific information about the Type 094 nuclear submarine for the first time. Tensions between Japan and China have escalated as both nations accuse each other of infringing on airspace near the contested East China Sea islands. This conflict has intensified following an incident where ultranationalists reportedly flew a plane over the Diaoyu Islands. DeepSeek's AI model is reportedly being utilized to develop new Chinese warplanes, according to a leading engineer.
More than 18 million high school graduates in the Philippines lack the basic reading and writing skills necessary for daily life. In a move to advance its educational sector, the United Arab Emirates has introduced artificial intelligence technology for schoolchildren. In California, Democratic lawmakers have voted against a proposal to impose stricter penalties for individuals who solicit sexual services from teenagers who are 17 years old or older.
Ireland has imposed a fine of €530 million on TikTok for transferring data of EU users to China. Facebook was reportedly caught when teenage girls removed their selfies, which the platform used to target them with beauty advertisements. The messaging app, a clone of Signal, which was utilized by the Trump administration, has been hacked.
A report by Waymo indicates that robot access are already contributing to enhanced road safety. Uber has entered into an agreement with Momenta to introduce a robotaxi service in Europe by the following year. Furthermore, it has been reported that a Waymo robotaxi was stopped by the police in Tokyo.
Dance predicts that the conflict in Ukraine will persist for an extended period, shortly after the United States finalizes a minerals agreement with Kyiv. A French minister identifies Putin as the primary barrier to achieving peace, as the European Union gears up for its 17th round of sanctions, according to AFP. Europe has confiscated $3.4 billion in frozen Russian assets to reimburse Western investors. Furthermore, the Czech Republic is taking the lead in discussions regarding ammunition supplies for Ukraine, with plans extending into 2026.
A large gathering of Islamists in Bangladesh is protesting against suggested amendments to women's rights laws. Turkish President Erdogan has assured demonstrators in northern Cyprus, who are opposing the perceived Islamification of the region, that their efforts will be unsuccessful. Earlier, Turkish Cypriots had taken to the streets to express their discontent over Turkey's alleged integration of Islamic elements into the education system, particularly the new regulation permitting the hijab in schools, coinciding with Erdogan's visit. Israeli officials have announced a new strategy aimed at taking control of the entire Gaza Strip.
Of 18,000 foreigners, in anticipation of an upcoming national election. Singapore's People's Action Party (PAP) has extended its 66-year dominance over the government, securing another landslide victory in the election, which serves as a boost for the new prime minister.
Trump has expressed his willingness to engage in discussions with any CEO who intends to increase prices as a result of tariffs. He mentioned that he would consider extending the deadline for the TikTok ban beyond June 19. Furthermore, Temu has announced that it will cease selling products directly from China to U.S. customers, stating that it will now only ship from the U.S. However, this does not imply that the products are manufactured in the United States.
The UK is getting ready to prohibit individuals from purchasing cryptocurrency using borrowed money. In the United States, the average income required to buy a median-priced home has reached 6 figures. Brazil's Social Security minister has resigned following an investigation into pension fraud.
Apple and Anthropic have joined forces to develop an AI-driven platform known as vibe coding. Meanwhile, Eric Schmidt has reportedly acquired Relativity Space with the intention of establishing data centers in space. Google plans to allow children to utilize.
Astronomers have found a massive, luminous molecular cloud concealed in the vicinity of Earth's cosmic surroundings. Scientists have made the discovery that magnetar starquakes might be capable of creating gold in the vastness of space. Furthermore, evidence supporting the existence of the debated Planet 9 has been identified in sky surveys conducted over a span of 23 years. By the year 2027, all newly constructed homes in England will be equipped with solar panels. In a recent weather modification experiment conducted by China, a small amount of cloud seed was used to generate an impressive 30 swimming pools worth of rain. A study has revealed that satellites that are nearing the end of their operational life can contribute to climate change and the depletion of the ozone layer. Warren Buffett, who is 94 years old, is resigning from his position as the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. Google is willing to consider sharing real-time bidding information with its competitors, although it opposes the idea of being broken up. In China, the number of coffee shops has increased by 12,000, reflecting a growing demand among the general population, which is impacting Starbucks negatively.
Mexico's president has stated that she declined Trump's proposal to deploy U.S. troops across the border. Trump has acknowledged making this offer to Mexico, but he claims that Sheinbaum is so terrified of the cartels that she can't even walk. Trump mentioned that he doesn't rule out the possibility of using military force to manage Greenland, although he noted that it is highly unlikely for the U.S. to deploy military forces to make Canada the 51st state. Furthermore, Trump has declared that he will only agree to the complete dismantling of Iran's nuclear program.
Archaeologists examined the dimensions of 50,000 ancient dwellings to gain insights into the historical development of inequality, discovering that it is not an unavoidable outcome. Genomic analysis reveals that all roses, whether red, pink, or white, originally were yellow. A biotechnology company has developed a weight loss pill designed to replicate the effects of gastric bypass surgery. In the United States, a judge dismissed a lawsuit featuring a dragon logo, describing it as juvenile and impertinent. The White House shared an AI-generated image of Trump depicted as a muscular Jedi, wishing everyone a happy May the 4th. Mr. Deepfakes, the largest deepfake pornography website online, announced its permanent closure. The CIA and other intelligence agencies are expected to reduce their staff as part of a plan by the Trump administration, which includes a proposed $163 billion reduction in the U.S. budget, significantly cutting domestic spending. China's offshore yuan has reached a 6-month high, with anticipation of a reversal of what are considered egregious tariffs. Trump has faced criticism for using an AI-generated image of himself as the Pope in the lead-up to the papal conclave.
In a Syrian town plagued by violence, the Druze community has reached an agreement to disarm their militias, emphasizing their unity with the phrase, "We're all in one ship." Meanwhile, Israeli cabinet ministers are set to deliberate on the possibility of intensifying the conflict in Gaza, as Israel mobilizes tens of thousands of reservists to broaden the military operations there. A Pope Mobile in the West Bank is being repurposed into a mobile clinic to provide medical care for children injured in Gaza.
President Trump discusses potential future leaders, including Rubio and Vance. Trump expresses uncertainty about whether he is required to adhere to constitutional due process. The struggling Hollywood industry, with Australia and New Zealand expressing their support for the film sector following Trump's tariff proposal. A report indicates that California, which was once a hub for animation work, is quickly losing its position in the industry.
The Rolling Stones have expressed concerns about individuals losing loved ones due to spiritual fantasies fueled by artificial intelligence. Instagram's co-founder has cautioned that AI chatbots are primarily focused on increasing engagement rather than providing genuine utility. Furthermore, numerous YouTube channels are displaying AI-generated content that features cartoon gore and fetish themes.
The United Nations and various aid organizations have criticized a proposal by Israel and the United States regarding the delivery of aid to Gaza. This plan involves Israel overseeing the distribution of aid within Gaza and employing contractors from the United States for the task. In a separate development, law enforcement in the United Kingdom has detained 7 individuals from Iran as part of ongoing counter-terrorism investigations.
A 19% growth in the first quarter, surpassing the expectations of analysts. In the United Kingdom, the Co-op has issued an apology following a cyber attack by the Dragonforce hacking group, which resulted in the theft of personal information from 20 million of its customers. Hackers have been exploiting a feature of IPv6 networking to take control of software updates. In the United States, a Yemeni man has been indicted in federal court on charges of distributing the Black Kingdom malware, which was used to extort money from businesses, schools, and medical clinics by infecting approximately 1,500 computer systems across the United States and other countries.
Apple plans to procure billions worth of chips manufactured in the U.S. as part of a supply chain transformation. Beijing considers proposing a fentanyl deal to the U.S. to initiate trade discussions. Federal authorities initiate investigation into UC Berkeley for
Find relief by acquiring the skill to manage negative emotions. Furthermore, a psychologist suggests that a significant portion of the British population is now identifying as neurodivergent.
Hamas asserts that there is no value in continuing truce negotiations with Gaza if Israel persists in what it describes as a hunger war. Meanwhile, Israel is reportedly considering occupying and completely destroying Gaza if no agreement is reached before Trump's visit, with an Israeli minister suggesting that Gaza should be completely destroyed and its residents relocated to third countries. Additionally, the Netherlands is advocating for a re-evaluation of the EU-Israel trade agreement due to what it calls the catastrophic blockade of aid to Gaza.
The United States has imposed sanctions on a Myanmar warlord and a militia associated with cyber scams. In Peru's northern region, gold mining activities have been halted following the tragic deaths of 13 miners. The International Court of Justice (ICJ) has declared that it lacks jurisdiction in a genocide case brought against the United Arab Emirates, UAE. This development comes a month after Sudan accused the UAE of providing support and complicity in genocide at the World Court.
U.S. crude oil prices have reached their lowest point since 2021 following OPEC+'s decision to increase production in June. The European Union is considering imposing tariffs on €100 billion worth of U.S. goods if negotiations do not succeed. China has criticized the United States for the serious negative impact of the tariffs imposed by former President Trump as trade discussions are about to commence.
Google inadvertently discloses information regarding its upcoming Android design language, known as Material 3 Expressive. Microsoft has officially included Fedora Linux as a supported distribution within its Windows subsystem for Linux, WSL. Cisco has introduced a prototype chip designed for quantum networking. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has instructed a reduction of 20% in the number of top military leadership roles. Former President Trump announced that a truce has been established with the Houthis, who have agreed to cease targeting ships. The Wall Street Journal has reported that the United States has instructed its intelligence agencies to intensify their surveillance activities in Greenland.
A recent poll indicates that the majority of Americans rely on federal science information on a weekly basis, as reported by NPR. Trump is considering the elimination of the long-standing Energy Star efficiency program. Europe has committed to investing €500 million to attract scientists, contrasting with Trump's ongoing conflicts with universities.
In the United States, authorities have apprehended and charged 764 individuals who were involved in running a worldwide child exploitation operation. The Federal Trade Commission, FTC, has reported that Instagram's recommendation system has been suggesting connections between individuals known as groomers and minors. Switzerland is taking steps to prohibit the physical punishment of children.
Governor Newsom has indicated his openness to collaborating with President Trump on a proposed $7.5 billion federal tax credit aimed at supporting the U.S. entertainment industry. The White House has stated that no definitive decisions have been reached regarding movie tariffs, as they continue to consider all available options. Ford has announced that tariffs are expected to result in a $1.5 billion financial burden for the company by the year 2025. Furthermore, Mattel, the company behind Barbie, has revealed plans to increase product prices due to the impact of Trump's tariffs. Uber has collaborated with China's Pony AI to introduce self-driving taxis in a significant market located in the Middle East. Tesla is advancing its LiDAR-free self-driving technology in China while awaiting approval for its full self-driving (FSD) system from Beijing. Waymo has set a goal to increase the production of its robot Axis at its Arizona facility by doubling the output by the conclusion of 2026.
In April, Xbox games dominated the PlayStation Store, occupying the top 3 spots in sales. Minecraft has announced the end of its VR support. In the tech sector, Seagate anticipates a significant increase in hard drive capacity, predicting a tripling by 2030 due to the rising demand for AI. Across the pond, Deliveroo has reached an agreement for a £2.9 billion acquisition by its American competitor, DoorDash.
During a meeting in the Oval Office with President Trump, Canadian Prime Minister Carney firmly stated that Canada is not for sale, it won't be for sale, ever. In response, Trump remarked, "Never say never." Bloomberg reported on this encounter, highlighting Carney's attempt to engage Trump through discussions about real estate. Britain and India have reached a £5 billion free trade agreement, which includes provisions for visas and tariffs on products such as cars, textiles, and whiskey. CNN noted that the first vessels transporting Chinese goods, subject to 145% tariffs, have arrived in Los Angeles, but they are only half full, raising concerns about potential shortages.
The Trump administration plans to withhold wages from 5.3 million individuals who have defaulted on their student loans this upcoming summer. According to CNBC, the impact of Trump's trade tariffs has expanded to encompass nearly all exports from the United States, as indicated by supply chain data. Purchasing a home in the United States now necessitates an additional $50,000 in annual income compared to renting.
India launched military actions against Pakistan in response to the murder of tourists, while Pakistan claims that Indian aircraft were shot down. The International Monetary Fund's April outlook anticipates that India will rise to the position of the fourth largest economy by the year 2025. A recent report indicates that India's film, television, and streaming sectors generated a total revenue of 1.1 trillion Indian rupees during the fiscal year 2024.
Denzel Washington and Spike Lee collaborate for the fifth occasion in Apple's chic new crime thriller. Apple TV Plus renews the studio for a second season. Google introduces a film production project aiming to offer a positive perspective on technology, contrasting with Black Mirror.
Donald Trump's criticism of green energy might negatively impact the United States in the artificial intelligence competition, according to warnings from data center experts. NBC plans to utilize AI technology to recreate the voice of the renowned NBA narrator Jim Fagan for the upcoming season. In the United Kingdom, the Solicitors Regulation Authority has given its approval to Garfield, an AI-driven law firm that charges a fee of £2.
Researchers have discovered subtle indications that ancient Mars experienced rainy days as well. The UK government has acknowledged that there is nearly no evidence to suggest that nature protections hinder development. The earliest known remains of a domestic cat in America have been discovered in a 466-year-old Spanish shipwreck located near Florida. Tether has ventured into the artificial intelligence sector with the launch of Tether.ai. New Hampshire has become the first state in the United States to enact a bill establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Furthermore, under Trump's administration, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, has ceased enforcing the rule concerning buy now, pay later arrangements, marking another step in the reduction of consumer protection measures. Samsung Wallet introduces a new tap-to-transfer feature that is compatible with both digital and physical cards. Google reveals AI Max for search campaigns, promising a 14% increase in conversions or conversion value while maintaining a comparable cost per acquisition. Tuvalu celebrates a significant milestone with the introduction of its first automated teller machines.
Baidu has filed a patent application that outlines its intentions to develop technology capable of converting animal sounds into human language. Amazon has announced a significant advancement in robotics, introducing a device equipped with the ability to sense touch. IBM's CEO has stated that artificial intelligence has led to the displacement of hundreds of employees, although it has also generated new opportunities in programming and sales roles.
The FDA has selected a critic of COVID booster shots to become the new head of its vaccines division. The Washington Post has announced that, following Trump's recommendation, the USPS board plans to appoint a FedEx executive as the new Postmaster General. The Trump administration has declared that it will prevent Harvard from obtaining any future grants. A scathing report has concluded that the FBI mishandled the investigation into the 2017 congressional baseball shooting, minimizing the gunman's anti-Republican motivations. In a significant development in the United States, the DEA has executed the largest fentanyl seizure in its history, capturing over 400 kilograms in an unprecedented operation. A declassified memo reveals that U.S. spy agencies do not believe Venezuela is orchestrating gang activities.
Disney and Myral have revealed their intentions to develop a new Disney theme park located in Abu Dhabi. Napoleon's personal saber is set to be put up for auction at Drought. Nintendo anticipates selling 15 million Switch 2 consoles as it prepares for the upcoming launch.
Wide for domestic flights.
Netflix has introduced a new editions. Bloomberg reveals that the podcast industry is significantly larger than previously thought. Nigerian filmmakers are turning to YouTube as streaming companies withdraw their support. The first group of Afrikaners to receive refugee status is set to arrive in the United States. In a related development, a U.S. judge has ruled that President Trump's plan to send migrants to Libya would contravene a court order, leading to the blocking of a deportation flight carrying Asian migrants to Libya. Libyan leaders have stated that they have not consented to accept migrants deported from the United States. Furthermore, a federal judge has mandated that the Trump administration promptly resettle 12,000 migrants.
Apple is in the process of creating specialized chips for its upcoming glasses, new Mac models, and AI servers. The company is to its iPhone release schedule and introducing new designs. Eddie Q, an Apple executive, has suggested that artificial intelligence might eventually replace the iPhone within the next decade. Meta is resuming its efforts in facial recognition technology, as concerns about privacy have diminished. Huawei has introduced its first laptop that operates on its self-developed Harmony OS, following the expiration of its Windows license.
A recent study has discovered that individuals who naturally require only a short amount of sleep possess a specific genetic mutation. Another study indicates that the lifespan of mammals is correlated with both the size of their brains and the effectiveness of their immune systems. Data reveals that the incidence of dementia in China is rising at a rate that exceeds the global average.
Syria's al-Shura has acknowledged engaging in indirect negotiations with Israel while tensions continue to rise. In Paris, Shura expressed a commitment to gradually easing sanctions but emphasized the importance of safeguarding minority groups. France's President Macron is advocating for the European Union to lift sanctions on Syria. In Germany, the new chancellor has advised U.S. officials to refrain from interfering in German political matters. There is an agreement between Merz and Trump on the necessity of addressing trade disputes, and the German intelligence agency has temporarily halted the classification of the AfD as a right-wing extremist group while awaiting an appeal.
Mitsubishi Motors has entered into a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) with a division of Foxconn to delegate the development of its electric vehicle (EV) models. Huayu is considering taking over the role of South Korea's LG, which has decided to withdraw from an $8.45 billion investment in an EV battery project in Indonesia. TechCrunch has reported that Tesla's application for the robotaxi trademark has been denied due to its overly generic nature.
White smoke emerges from the Sistine Chapel, indicating the election of a new pope. American Cardinal Robert Prevost has been chosen and assumes the name Leo XIV. There have been remarks suggesting that while Francis was selected to rescue the Church, Leo XIV is tasked with saving the world. In his inaugural Mass as Pontiff, Pope Leo XIV encourages cardinals to adopt a humble demeanor. A New Orleans genealogist claims that Pope Leo XIV has Creole ancestry.
In the United States, Republicans
new trade agreement with the United Kingdom and hinted at a potential conversation with Xi Jinping regarding China. The UK's digital tax on major technology companies remains unaffected by this trade deal. The Bank
Linux has ceased to support 486 and early Pentium processors, a move that comes 2 decades after Microsoft made a similar decision. There are allegations of data manipulations in a study that played a crucial role in the development of Microsoft's quantum chip. Furthermore, Cobalt, a company supported by Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, is considering a lithium project in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Wikimedia Foundation has initiated a legal action against the newly enacted UK Online Safety Act, contesting its provisions. The Lockbit ransomware group has been compromised, leading to the revelation of their negotiation tactics with victims. Google has identified a connection between the recently discovered Lost Keys data theft malware and Russian cyber espionage activities. OpenAI has introduced a new GitHub integration for its ChatGPT Deep Research, designed to provide answers to inquiries related to code. Google has implemented AI-driven tools aimed at safeguarding Chrome users from potential scams. Alibaba has developed Zero Search, an AI system capable of autonomously searching the internet, which has resulted in an 88% reduction in training expenses. The Indian government has issued a directive prohibiting Pakistani content amid escalating regional tensions. Bloomberg provides commentary on the growing alliance between Putin and Xi, which is challenging the US-dominated global order. A prosecutor in France has stated that the suspect in a mosque murder case acted without any ideological motivation. A recent investigation has uncovered that advanced Chinese weaponry, supplied by the UAE, has been found in Sudan, violating an arms embargo. Reuters has revealed that during Trump's administration, discussions about Saudi Arabia's civil nuclear program were separated from the issue of recognizing Israel, according to sources. The Telegraph has reported that in the UK, an alleged plot by Iranians targeting the Israeli embassy was an attempt to disrupt Iran-US nuclear negotiations, as UK police successfully thwarted this potential terror plot.
Expedia's quarterly revenue fell short of expectations due to sluggish travel demand in the United States, causing its stock to decline. The United Kingdom is set to reveal a $10 billion deal to buy Boeing aircraft, as confirmed by the U.S. Commerce Secretary. Robinhood is preparing to introduce a blockchain platform for trading U.S. assets in Europe.
Trump plans to halt funding for a digital equity law initiated by Biden, labeling it as racist and illegal. The Trump administration has also decided to discontinue a database that has been monitoring the financial impact of extreme weather events since 1980. The DEA, which previously praised body cameras for promoting enhanced transparency, is now moving away from using them.
Amazon plans to allocate $4 billion towards enhancing its cloud infrastructure in Chile. OpenAI is set to invest in initiatives aimed at constructing AI infrastructure in international locations. The Trump administration intends to overturn and substitute the Biden administration's restrictions on global AI chip exports.
Kennedy has introduced a new database aimed at exploring the fundamental causes of autism, with RFK Jr. stating that this database will incorporate information from Medicare and Medicaid. Trump has selected Casey Means, a conspiracy theorist and wellness influencer, who lacks a medical license, to succeed a Fox contributor as the Surgeon General. CNN has reported that a militarized group of conspiracy theorists in the U.S. is convinced that radars are being used